There's Someone Inside Your House is a 2021 American slasher film directed by Patrick Brice and written by Henry Gayden. It's an adaptation of the 2017 novel of the same name by Stephanie Perkins and stars Sidney Park, Theodore Perelin, Ashar Cooper, Jesse LaTourette, and Diego Joseph. The plot follows Makani Young, Park, a senior transfer student from Hawaii who later finds herself in the center of gruesome murder cases in her newly acquainted town of Osborne, Nebraska. Have you read the book? If so, what did you think about it? Let us know in the comments section below. As we mentioned, the horror movie is an adaptation of the 2017 novel of the same name by Stephanie Perkins, which is sometimes a problem when turning a book into a movie. The feature film adapted by Henry Gayden was announced in March 2018 when Deadline Hollywood revealed Netflix had partnered with Sean Levy and James Wan to produce it under their Atomic Monster and 21 Laps companies, respectively. At the time of its announcement, the film was described as an amalgamation of genre films in the vein of quintessential slasher films, such as Friday the 13th and Scream, as well as the coming-of-age dramas such as John Hughes' The Breakfast Club and George Lucas's American Graffiti. Additional producers of the film include Dan Cohen and Michael Clear. In March 2019, it was announced that Patrick Brice would direct the film. Brice also directed other horror movies such as Creep 2 and Corporate Animals. Have you seen any of these movies? What did you think? In August 2019, Sidney Park, Theodore Perelin, Ashai Cooper, Dale Wembley, Jesse Tourette, Berkeley Duffield, Diego Joseph, Zane Clifford, and Sarah Dugdale joined the cast of the film. Principal photography began in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada on August 22, 2019 and ended in October 12, 2019. Additional photography for the film concluded on August 23, 2020. Michael Aller served as the primary editor for the film. Zachary Dawes composed the score for the film. For a film entitled There's Someone Inside Your House, it does open inside somebody's house with someone else inside it. But once a knife slices their ankles, the film quickly disregards its name and becomes a standard teen slasher flick. The twist? The now dead individual had a secret. In a better movie, this would have helped provide dramatic heft to the commonly cliched cinematic category. But then it happens to another person and then another. This isn't who I am. This isn't me. Are words to live or die by. As Cal's football player Jackson, Archeum Teresiu, learns at the start of the glossy teen slasher, there's someone inside your house. Jackson's the first of a few disposable victims, all of whom are stalked by a killer wearing 3D printed masks that look just like his or her latest target. As these sorts of movies go, that's a good enough prompt for a horror movie, especially one concerned with adolescent stuff like drugs, daddy issues, and dating. There are a few early scenes where the ensemble cast members, including a non-binary protagonist and a few 20-somethings of color, announce the filmmaker's intentions to address what it's like to be a modern American teen. The rest of There's Someone Inside Your House, which was adapted from Stephanie Perkins' novel, doesn't live up to that promise, since much of the movie concerns the usual high school cliches about life in a post-Bruce Springsteen and post-Stephen King small town. Similar premises we've seen too many times before, and the subject matter seems to be a little tired by now. Jackson's small town in Osborne, Kansas, which incidentally could be any town across the country, where the locals enjoy the local high school football games with the same generic passion that we have for the town's annual Halloween corn maze. Again, subject matter we've seen before. Most of Osborne attends the game that Jackson should be playing in when he's punished to death for a hazing ritual gone awry. Seems a little harsh, we must admit. That game, its audience, and the movie all stop dead in their tracks when everybody receives a mysterious text message with a video clip of Jackson and his buddy's crime. Jackson's transgression is somehow not the main focus of the movie, though openly gay quarterback Caleb, Berkeley Duffield, does score a touchdown while everyone else is distracted by the message they have just received their phones. Having an openly gay quarterback might be something of wishful think. Still, unfortunately, not sure we're at the point yet where high school QBs are openly gay, although movies which address this point are obviously helping the idea of the jock-type character being able to come out openly. So bravo for that. Instead, There's Something Inside Your House skips from one adolescent protagonist to the next as they take turns announcing their concerns through soundbite-friendly dialogue and are then stalked, also fatally, in well-lit master shots by a murderer who, despite all this, wants their victims to dig deeper and really be honest with themselves. Hence the mask, because you're all wearing masks, I guess. There's also a tidy explanation later on about the killer's real motive. Spoiler alert, it's about a privilege, but that doesn't really explain why most of Osborne's tokenized POC minorities and queer identifying characters are as bland as their white, straight counterparts. Maybe it's just because somebody's white and straight does not ultimately mean they're bland. Kind of playing devil's advocate here. What do you guys think about the characters' choices? Sparks do not fly between sassy Alex and her crush, shy Rodrigo, nor is there much to keep viewers interested in the girl next door, Makani, and her cigarette-smoking love interest, Ollie. We kind of wish the director would have developed these characters a little more, as there's much more they could have contributed. Anyway, a relentless paint-by-numbers plot keeps these two couples from developing memorable personalities, since we're always either cutting away to the next subplot, rich kid Zach, who hates his intolerant politician dad, or the next red herring, don't kiss each other too deep, kids, there's someone at the door. Eventually, these standard evasive maneuvers start to feel like the point of this story instead of the usual means to a familiar end. Still, the most frustrating thing about There's Someone Inside Your House has to be the gulf between its characters' stated qualities and their actual behavior. What a surprise. Chipper and cruel student council leader Katie gets stalked and dispatched in an early kill scene set in a church, which suggests that the filmmakers are more interested in plot twist than character development. And honestly, Katie's not much more of a character than, say, Makani, whose main appeal stems from her barely considered past, or any of the other main characters in this subpar plot. Makani spends much of the movie walking on eggshells trying to distance herself from a revealing trauma, but also keeping hers and Ollie's relationship something of a secret, though they make out in his car a couple of times. Parks certainly charismatic enough to carry her scenes, and for a while it's easy to follow Makani as she struggles to keep a low profile. There's not much to Makani beyond Parks' suggestive performance. Least of all, Makani's threadbare and mostly implied relationship with her sleepwalking grandma, and her cute but unremarkable thing with Ollie. Like Katie, Makani tries to push the plot further along and does give a little more weight to a story outline that never stops. I roll. Telling you what it's about. A varied community of alienated teenagers defined as they supposedly are by their ability to choose when and what they can share about themselves. Too bad all the haves are mustache-twirling caricatures and all the have-nots are indistinct placeholders. It's like they've molded the characters in a generic image and not given any of them a second thought. Maybe this is a product of the movie's nature as an adaptation. There's never really a moment in There's Someone Inside Your House that suggests its protagonists are real or mature enough to be worth rooting for. They talk a lot about hiding their true selves from each other, but often don't seem human enough to be incredibly shallow. We all know kids of this age are notoriously shallow. We've been there ourselves, remember high school? But each one of them seems frustratingly unrealistic in a lot of the scenes in this particular movie. Finally then, the murderer is revealed as Zach, the son of the wealthy farm owner. Zach explains in his little villain monologue that his intention was to teach his father, who is also a Nazi, a lesson. Zach stabs Ollie and explains that he's not a sociopath and doesn't want to feel ashamed just because he was born to privilege. And he also talks a bit about how everyone is wearing fake faces, hence the whole mask thing. Oh, and also, he's going to frame Makani for everything, which is why he handed her the sword earlier. Honestly, there are a lot of threads floating around here and none of them really connect. Then Ollie tases Zach and Makani stabs him, and that's that. We can't help but think the newer generation of not just horror movies are a little too, well, nice. What happened to a slasher movie just being a slasher movie?